The reason I want to record this on a video is to educate the clients or the people who are watching it that when you do decide to make a purchase for a property, it is always recommended that obviously you spend time with your broker first to understand what he's showing you, and then go and see it personally, physically by yourself. It makes a big difference rather than having your assistant go and survey what has been described to you and you think may be your best bet, regardless of the pressure being put on you at the time. A client reached out because he was having some issues with the plot that he had bought. The concept behind buying this plot was to build his own house with obviously having a lot of privacy. He paid about 25 million for the plot. Location was just behind downtown. The brokers who were involved with this transaction were in touch with the buyer. They described to him exactly what he was looking for, but it happened to not be that exact same plot. So the agent explained to the buyer that this is a plot with your expectation, with your requirements. It's very private, it's on the water, and it's at the edge of the community. No one's going to be overlooking inside. Your family will have all the privacy they want, and it's totally secluded and all that. The buyer is not in the country, he's obviously traveling. He sends his most trusted guy to go have a look. The assistant goes in, gets what's the right word? Overwhelmed by the attention that he's given at the developer's office, along with the broker, who is the representative of the buyer. They go and see the plot. This guy, not very well educated, but a seriously honest guy and a very straightforward person, goes in, gets overwhelmed by all the attention he's given and all the treatment that he's been provided with, or the treatment he is given there. He gets carried away into believing everything that they tell him. The plot is private, it's exclusive, it's at the edge of the community, it's waterfront, etc. So obviously he informs the buyer that, hey, or his boss, that everything is good, we'll go ahead with it. The buyer makes a payment on this guy's word of 1 million dirhams. They reserve the plot. A week later, they call him that he needs to make another 1 million dirham payment, which is still pending from your initial. So he says, give me some time, I'm going to be flying in and I'll come and do it. Again, the pressure game moves on and they lock him in for another 1 million. 2-3 days later, they call him again and they say, hey, you need to put another 500,000 because we need to close the 20% down in order to secure your plot for you, get you the booking form, sign all the documents, etc., etc. They did not tell him this before that he needs to put in 20-25% from the start. They just told him that at the moment he needs to put in 1 million dirhams. They gave a value to it and they said 1 million dirhams, please bring this in. So he sent it in, all that happened. 2-3 days later, they call him again and say, hey, you need to bring in 500,000 more, or else next week the prices are going up and you would probably have to pay the additional price difference, which obviously he wasn't ready to because he had made a commitment well in advance for a certain amount, for the 20 million dirhams. This guy gets a little furious. He's anyways flying back into town, takes his chances, flies into town, goes to see the plot. When he visits the plot, it's nothing like what they described to him. His broker, which was his representative, along with the sales rep from the developer's office and so on. The plot, in front of it, there is the Crystal Lagoon. And exactly opposite that, he's got G+10 or G+8 or G+12 rise buildings that can easily overlook into his plot. That's to start off with. And it's just not 1-2 buildings, it's like 70 buildings in the entire development. 72 precisely. But of course, the frontage is about 8 to 10 buildings that can easily look into his plot, regardless of how many trees and date palms he puts up. Clearly not his requirement, not his specification, nothing matched. All the guys who were in favor were at fault. He tries to go back to the developer, get his money out. Clearly that wasn't permitted because he had signed the booking form. Now this is where it gets really messed up because the developer is not at fault. The developer's representative is the one who has created the scenario, along with the broker, who is also the buyer's representative. He goes back and forth, doesn't get any response from the developer because he's unable to reach the right people to get his money out or to at least get a proper response. I think a month later, he comes to me. He gets my contact through a recommendation, as a recommendation. Or to find a solution for your problem, talk to Zoheb, he'll sort you out. I took it on because I felt that the amount of money that he's put out, regardless of him buying further or not, is a lot of money. Like, I could feel that in the guy's voice when I was sitting and talking to him, even though I know a person who can put down 20 million for just a plot. He committed to put down 20 million for a plot, and he had already put down 2 million dirhams, 2 or 2.3 million dirhams. After having the whole discussion with him, I decided that I'm going to take it up because I understand the value of money. I know what 2 million down is worth, even when it comes to thinking about the fact that I'm going to lose this money. We connected, we understood each other, we got along, we started on good terms. He had been watching a lot of my content before, but never approached me directly. I don't know why, but anyways, I took up the matter. I went to the developer's office. I spoke with the right people. I got a response about a month later saying that you can have your buyer come in, or this client come in, buy 2 additional properties, and what we'll do is we'll move the funds from here into that particular property. So he loses nothing. Okay? So part of the payments for these 2 units would come from that down payment that he's made earlier for the plot, and then he can continue the balance payments. We go to the developer's office, we get a confirmation from another sales representative who I thought I could trust. That was my mistake. Anyways, so I got the promise from the seller's rep that, hey, you buy these 2 properties, we'll move that money from there to here, and then you continue making your payments, you lose 0 money. This process was then conveyed to the buyer. He was okay with that. He said, hey, you come from good recommendations, I'll do whatever it is you say. We went ahead and we did that. The 2 new properties were already booked for him, and that the money is coming out of here and going into there. He asked me, he's like, listen, do you recommend these 2? I said, yes, these 2 are the units that I have shortlisted. The sales representative was obviously trying to sell him a few more, but during that meeting, in the conversation, the buyer looks at me and I'm like, nah, just 2, that's it for now. Then we'll see how it goes further. So he liked that. 5-6 months passed by with that hope being given to us by the same developer's second representative, who is this person, that your money is being shifted, but it takes time. Only a new booking form was released for him to sign on the purchase of the 2 properties, with no written commitment that your money is coming out of here to there. It was a verbal confirmation. This went on for 6-7 months, and I was dealing with the sales rep and her director. So I was dealing with a fairly mid to high level position individual in the developer's office. Kept getting the same false hopes again and again. Nothing happened. I decided to take things to a different level. So I went and found one of the vice presidents in the company who I knew. Took it up along with my company's management and brought the case to the VP directly. This is when the VP tells me like, hey, why do you want to work for this? You're not going to make any money. The situation is so chaotic, it's so lost that the chairman decided to handle the situation himself. And based on whatever he decides will happen in regards to this transaction. But no one's making any money. The previous broker ain't making no money. You ain't making any money, and neither am I. Why do you want to work on this? You've been going on and on for the past few months. There is no benefit for you here. I said, it doesn't matter. You know what? It's a lot of money. Let's try to help out the guy and see what he wishes to continue with. If we give him a good experience, he may become a long-term client. He's got the capacity to. I know that. I can judge that. So anyways, the VP says, okay, fine. I know you do raw business with us. You have good clientele. Let me see what I can work out. Come back to me 2 months later. They agreed to do the transaction. They agreed that they will move the funds from the plot that he had bought, all the amount without losing a single penny. Of nothing in writing. This is again verbal. But I'm dealing with like one of the topmost guys. They pull out all the funds. We shortlisted 1 unit for him in that development, in an apartment. And we took out all the funds and we parked it there. So the other 2 units were cancelled. We were taken out completely. So again, 0 money for me over there. We took out all the money that he's put down, 2.3, 2.4, whatever. Parked it towards a 2-bedroom apartment within the same development. Again, the guy's like, Zohaib, do you recommend this? I said, yeah, at least you get all your money out. Decent unit, not too bad, easily rentable. He says, fair enough, let's do it. So we moved all the money from there to here. So the plot was 20 million worth, but he had only put down 2.3. The unit price for the apartment was 2.3. So what we did was we took all that cash, parked it towards this apartment. Deal closed, problem solved, buyer is happy. Simultaneously, we gave him a second option. that you could do that, and we lock it towards one apartment, because it's difficult to get money back from a developer, especially after signing the booking form, that you've already got this, you're good to go. You don't need to purchase anything more. But there are a few other options that I have shortlisted that I personally like, and I'm putting them forward. You like them? Go ahead. You don't feel like it? You did not like the experience with the developer? Let it go. Let's not even bother with that. He thought for 2 seconds, and he went ahead and picked up the 5 units that I had shortlisted right after that. Because he saw that, you know what, this guy makes sense. He's managed to get all my money out without expecting anything in return. I had not put in any confirmation for any kind of money that I'm going to charge him. He bought an additional 5 units worth 9 million dirhams. So the moral of the story is that as an agent, I understand money is difficult. It is difficult to make that kind of money, right? And I was told directly that, hey, you're not going to make any money on this deal because it's become so complicated. But I took it up regardless. I said, you know what, 2 million dirhams is a lot of money, and let me help out the guy. I benefit, good for me. If not, it's okay, we move on. From a biased perspective, regardless of how much you may trust anyone, including your representative, your assistant, your PA, even your broker, what you may describe may not be the same thing in somebody else's mind. Your motive is different, his motive is different. His or her motive is different. So before committing, if you get the opportunity, and if you don't know the person you're working with extremely well, and you're both on the same wavelength or the same mindset, visit the property yourself. But if you have a trusted broker you worked with in the past continuously, and you both are on a similar mindset, then yeah, there's no need to visit the property as well, like a lot of my buyers do with me.